last time we looked at journals, we looked at 5 and 6. Okay, we're obviously applying the accounting rules. We know we've got definitions for assets, liabilities, income, expenses, capital, and drawings. And when applying the rules, you're going to be interpreting transactions and you're going to be processing the data. So we know that transactions are recorded on source documents. And where do the source documents get recorded? In the journals. Okay, so we looked at the theory relating to a journal. What does a journal do? It groups similar types of transactions. So when I have a cash receipts journal, I'm recording all my cash receipts. When I have a cash payments journal, I'm recording all my cash payments. So that's what we're looking at here. We're looking at the processing of accounting information or data. Just to show you what the textbook has given you, obviously you guys can go through this yourself. The notes that you have give you the most important bits and pieces from here. Okay, what I do want to focus on is the journals. Cash receipts and cash payments. What's the focus there? Bank. Bank is either going to go up or bank is going to go down, depending on what's happening. Are we receiving or are we paying? Purchases and purchases returns. Those two relate to the creditor. Okay, we buy from our supplier. We buy from a creditor. The creditor is going to be seen as a liability. So if I'm buying, the liability is going to go up. If I'm returning, the liability is going to go down. And then you've got sales and sales returns. Same thing applies here. The focus, though, is on debtors. Okay, and debtors will either go up or debtors will go down, depending on what's happening. Are we selling to them or are they returning to us? Okay. Then you've got a note about the general journal, which is for other transactions. Okay, so that's what the textbook takes you through. Well, not textbook, the study guide. Okay, the textbook is also very good. A good source of information, gives you additional info related to the journals. Right, we now need to approach a question looking at journals. So let's go to the template that I've given you. Right, obviously in an exam, you don't often get given templates. You get given folio paper that you're going to have to complete, all right, in terms of your format in order to draw up the journals. So I've got the sales journal, the purchases journal, the sales returns, the purchase returns, and the receipts and payments, okay, on separate pages. We're going to be looking at another question from the past paper that we looked at last week. Last week we started with October, November 2016. I already looked at one question with you, the accounting equation. Now I'm going to be looking at this question, the subsidiary journals. 25 marks, 30 minutes. We're looking at the journal. If it's a journal, it's focusing on the recording of transactions. Okay, so the first bit is looking at interpretation. Do you know what's happening in each of these different scenarios? Okay, before I do it, I just want you guys to tell me what journal is this going to go to. Okay, you don't have to worry about all the accounts. A lot of this we haven't covered yet. A lot of it we have. Okay, it just depends on what questions they've given you in the actual test, okay, or exam. Right, so what I want you to go do now is to go down the list and tell me what journal do you think this is going to go to. I'll do the first one. Issued a check as a repayment of a loan. If you're issuing a check, it's a cash payment, CPJ. So that first transaction will be recorded in the cash payments journal. Right, I want you to do the same thing for all the other transactions. Just tell me what journal it goes to. Don't worry about debits and credits and all of that. We'll discuss that together. Can you interpret what's happening? So are you buying something? Are you receiving something? Are you returning something? What's happening? Okay, quickly do that. Alright, so you guys have had some time now to go through each of those transactions to identify what journal you think those transactions are going to have to be recorded in. Right, so now I'm going to do the question and then check if you're right. Okay, so when we look at number 2, obviously it's a purchase and you're buying an automatic washing machine from Tops Laundry and you paid by check. Again, CPJ. Right, so we're going to look at all of them. As I go through them, we're going to record as well. Right, this question in the exam paper was out of 25. It's 30 minutes long. When looking at the required, it says open the following subsidiary journals for the month ended. in the accounting records of Helisi Cleaning Services and record the above transactions in the relevant subsidiary journals. They want us to draw up a cash receipts journal, and they want us to make provision for the following columns: date, details, bank, services rendered, output, VAT, debtors control, sundry accounts. So let's go to our journals. Okay, we've got our journal here. We're looking at the cash receipts. So there's my cash receipts journal. But what am I going to be doing? I'm going to be creating a cash receipts journal for this business. What else do they want? They want a cash payments journal. So I need to create a cash payments journal, and I need to draw that up for this particular business. Okay, so question one's looking at journals. This was A, and this was B. Right, you guys don't have to draw that. There's extra copies here, so just give one to Given. He doesn't have. Okay, you obviously have other journals as well. Cash receipts and payments aren't the only journals that you get, but they're all the same. It doesn't matter what the journal looks like. It's just recording a similar type of transaction. So all my credit purchases will go to the purchases journal. All my credit sales will go to the sales journal. It doesn't matter what the journal looks like or what the journal does in terms of grouping a similar transaction. The way that you complete it is the same. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is the same as what I would do for any of the other journals. Right, so what do they want here? They want the date, the details, the bank. Okay, we've got date, we've got details. Let's write in bank. What else do they want? Services rendered, output VAT. Output VAT. There we go. What else do we want? Debtors control and then sundry. So we need one more column. Debtors control and then obviously the sundry. So that's it for the cash receipts journal. Let's look at the cash payments. What do they want here? Date, details, bank, cleaning and packing materials. Okay, so bank here. And then is cleaning and packing one account or separate? It looks like one account. Or maybe separate. Cleaning and packing materials. Okay, it's worded strangely. Maybe they want us to group it, maybe they want us to keep it separate. I'm going to show it separate. Cleaning materials, because they are different things. Packing material. And then they want sundry. Great. So that's what we've got for the cash receipts and cash payments. Now we're going to have to go to the question, and we're going to have to look at each of those line items, and we're going to have to post them where they need to go. A journal that's used for other transactions is the general journal. Okay, so that's going to be a separate journal, and the general journal is very easy to do. It's literally a debit and a credit. You would write in something there, you'd write in something there. Okay, I just want to show you sample general journal entry. Okay, and then you'll have a debit column and you'll have a credit column. And this is what you would do for a general journal. Okay, that's also something that they wanted in this question, and this was obviously number C. Okay, general journal. So that's what you're going to be doing. That you would have to do on a separate page. Okay, so I haven't given you a template for that because there's not much of a template. It's literally 2 columns. Debit, credit, and then we need to record. Okay. Let's go back to the question. Have I got everything? Yes. I've got A, I've got B, I've got C. See, this is exam technique. Once you've got everything, then you're going to go back to the question. Here's the question. And you're going to take it line by line by line, and you're going to record it where it needs to go. We just read something important. They are a registered VAT vendor. So what does that mean? Is VAT applicable? Yes. You'll have input and you'll have output. How do we remember the difference? When goods come in, you're buying goods. There's input VAT because you pay the 14% to the person you're buying from. Does that make sense? Okay, so if you're paying the VAT, you can claim it from SARS. Okay, if I'm selling, goods are going out. So I have output VAT. Why is it considered output VAT? It's because I'm collecting the VAT, but it's not mine. Okay, so imagine selling something. Let's say you're selling cold drink. Okay, Coca-Cola. If you're selling cold drink, there'll be 14% VAT. You're collecting it because you're selling it, but it's not your income. It needs to be paid over to SARS. Okay, so the VAT that you're paying on that particular item is considered a liability because it's an output VAT line item. Output VAT is a liability. Input VAT is obviously an asset. Okay, so depending on what you've got, but we need to consider that. They told us VAT is applicable at 14%. Let's have a look at number 1. Issued a check to Anco Bank as a repayment on a loan. If I'm paying off a loan, bank will decrease. Bank is an asset. If bank is an asset that's decreasing, this must be recorded in the cash payments journal. Because we said in the notes that if bank is decreasing, it's seen as a payment. It doesn't matter why it's decreasing. I could be paying off a loan, I could be buying an asset, I could be buying or paying for expenses. It doesn't matter. It's still going to reduce your bank. And if you're reducing your bank, you're going to record that in your cash payments. So this amount is going to the cash payments journal. Right, so this is how you record it. Obviously, they give you a document number, you would put it in. They didn't, so I'm just going to put in the day. The name of the payee was Anco Bank. How much did I pay? 2,200. Do I have a column for the loan? No. So sundry accounts is for other accounts. Sundry is when you don't write down a separate column for it. So that means I need to show 2,200 here because there was no column for the loan. And that's how you record transactions. Okay, so you credit the bank because you're reducing the bank, and you're debiting the loan because you're reducing the liability. Right, see, those are basic, let's say, understanding of the transactions that we practiced previously when we looked at debits and credits. Okay, debits and credits don't actually mean much in a journal because the journal is just recording of the transaction. It's when I post the journal to the ledger, then I need to know what is being debited and what is being credited. Okay, so it's not so important here. So you don't really have to look at what do I debit, what do I credit. It's good to know what to debit and credit because when you post the journal, then it's important. Number 2, purchase an automatic washing machine. What business are we in? The cleaning services business, right? If I'm a cleaning service business and I'm using the periodic system, am I going to be selling washing machines? No. So this is not going to be considered stock. Do you agree? I'm not going to be buying a washing machine to sell it. I'm going to be buying a washing machine to use it. Right, so if I'm using that asset, it's going to be considered equipment. Okay, it meets the definition of an asset. This was from Top of Tops. This was on the 2nd. Top of Tops. Laundry. Bank is going to go down by 3,200. Is there going to be VAT on this transaction? Yes. Okay, when you buy something, you're going to have input VAT because you're buying something. So this 3,200, they said VAT is included where applicable. So is it applicable here? Of course it is. Okay, if you buy a washing machine, you're going to have to pay 14% VAT. So if I'm paying 14% VAT, I'm going to claim that. So I need to show that separately. Did they ask for a VAT column? No, they didn't. They should have, but they didn't. Okay, so I'm going to have to record this as sundry accounts. So we're looking at Top of Tops Laundry. The bank account is going to go down by the full amount, which was 3,200. A portion of this is VAT. Okay, you guys have columns, so actually let's add a column. Okay, let's make use of the columns, input VAT. Okay, because other examples will have the column, instead of writing everything in sundry, because it's going to get quite messy if we do. Okay. Right, what did I buy? Equipment. I'm going to be using the machine. What am I going to show here? I'm going to show the brackets VAT exclusive amounts. And then in VAT, I'm going to show the VAT amount. Right, so how do I get the VAT amount? I take the 3,200, I times it by 100, I divide it by 114. Okay, that gives me that answer, rounded to the nearest cent. Okay, let's round off to the nearest rand, actually. Or did they say anything about rounding in the question here? No, they didn't. Okay, problematic. So then you would round off to the nearest cent. I'm going to keep it simple and round off to the nearest rand, so we don't have such a big amount there. Okay, how did I get that? 3200 times 100 divided by 114. That's how you get your VAT exclusive amount. If you didn't know how to do that, then you need to look at your tutorial letter. Okay, in your tutorial letter, there's a few pages that talk about some mathematics, some fractions, multiplying, dividing, adding, subtracting, all of that. And they give you some examples of this. Okay, so obviously I'm taking you through the accounting, but you need some mathematics in order to do the accounting. This is what you use to get the VAT exclusive amounts. Once I've got VAT exclusive, then it's easy to get the VAT. I just take the inclusive and I minus the exclusive. Okay, that was the VAT inclusive. Right, because you know that, maybe just to show that down here, VAT exclusive plus VAT gives you VAT inclusive. So if this is 100, you would add 14, you would get 114. Okay, that's where that's coming from. Again, that comes from the mathematics, that comes from your tutorial letter. Go through that if you need to. This is what you're going to type into your calculator. Happy with that one? Okay. Next, number 4, total services rendered for cash register roll. Where did you guys say I must put this? Which journal? Cash receipts. Good. Okay, you're getting cash because this would have gone to the cash register. Cash register roll. Someone asked for services and they paid you using cash. 6,500 is going to be received, and that's for day number 4. So day 4, this came from who? They don't mention it, but they tell you this was services rendered. You can just say cash or services. I'm going to write services rendered. Why not? Be more specific. You could just say cash if you wanted to. But if they gave you a name of a person, you would put it in there. Okay, how much did we get? 6.5. Would there be VAT on this transaction? Of course there will. You're providing a service. So SARS is going to want you to collect 14% on that service. So where am I going to put the total? Well, do I collect the full amount? Yes. I'm going to collect 6,500 from the customer. But am I going to be entitled to the 6.5? No, because that's the VAT inclusive. A portion is mine, which is the VAT exclusive, and a portion is SARS's. Okay, so I need to pay 14% over to SARS because I'm running a business and I'm a VAT vendor. Right, so what am I going to have to do? Well, I need to separate. Okay, so again, take that amount, times it by 100, divided by 114. That's how you get the VAT exclusive. Again, I'm just going to round it off to the nearest rand, just to keep it simple, and then I'm going to subtract the VAT inclusive minus the exclusive, and that's going to give me the output VAT. Right, so maybe just to show that working, it's 65 times 100 divided by 114, if you're wondering how I got the 5702. Okay, obviously, this you could show in the exam if you wanted to. As long as you've got the right answer, they'll probably mark it right. But in case you make a mistake, maybe it's worthwhile showing a calculation. Okay, but this is what you're going to be recording. So the accounting journal is going to record that, and that's it. That's what the accountant would show. Make sense? Let's continue. Next. Purchase cleaning material from Quick Clean for 3250 and paid by check. Which journal? Cash payments. Quick Clean, good, on the 10th. On the 10th, Quick Clean, we paid them how much? 3250. This was for cleaning material. Would there be VAT here? Of course there will. So again, VAT inclusive is going to go there. VAT is going to go here. Did I have a column for cleaning material? Yes. So am I going to use it? Of course I am. This times 100 divided by 114 is going to give me the VAT exclusive amount. That's how much the cleaning material is going to cost me, taking out the VAT. So the bank minus the cleaning material gives me the input VAT of $3.99. And there's another transaction that we've recorded. Make sense? Question?
The sundry accounts, when do we...
Sundry account you only use if there are other accounts where I don't have a column. Okay, so what did I buy here with Quick Clean? I bought cleaning material. Do I have a column for cleaning material? Yes, there's cleaning material. So I use that column, I don't use sundry. If I didn't have this column, then I would use sundry. Okay. Next, day 14, received 1/7 from P, a debtor in part settlement of his accounts. Which journal? Cash receipts, good. This was on the 14th. P. Oosthuizen, amount 1/7. Will there be VAT on a receipt from a debtor? No, there won't. Right, VAT will only arise when you buy or when you sell, not when you receive or pay. Okay, in terms of paying a debtor, paying a creditor, or receiving money from a debtor. This is going to be recorded here in the debtors control column. And that's it. There's your transaction representing the receipt from a debtor. No VAT on those receipts, because the VAT would have arisen when you sold to the debtor. So when I sold on credit, then I would have the output VAT, not when I received the money for outstanding payments. Make sense? Next, a check for 1280 received on 15 Jan from H. Hamill, a debtor, was returned by the bank marked RD check. Okay, obviously you guys will learn about RD checks when we cover theory related to the bank reconciliation. An RD check is a dishonored check. What does that mean? Well, that means someone wrote out a check, they gave it to you. You take that check, you go to your bank, and you deposit that check. A few days later, the check doesn't go through. Why? Because the person writing out the check didn't have any money in the account. So the bank wasn't able to transfer money from their account to your account. Okay, so checks aren't really used in today's world, but they're still given to you in your assessment. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Dishonored checks always go to the CPJ. That you can learn. It'll always go to the CPJ. It's dishonored. This was day 17. This was from Hamill. And this was for, what was the amount? 1280. 1280. I don't have a column for debtors. 1280. Debtors. Right, the reason why it's debtors is because it's a dishonored check. Previously you thought you received, but you didn't. Okay, because remember, a receipt would have gone in the cash receipts journal. Got that? Next. A check for 1680 was issued by Hamill to replace the previous check. So this is the new transaction. And this took place when? On the 17th. So there was a dishonored check and then the issuing of a new check. Where is this going to go? Receipt or payment? Receipt. A debtor is issuing another check and they're giving it to you. So you're also going to have on the 17th, Hamill again, and you're going to show a receipt for 1,280. Same amount, right? No, different amounts. 1680. 1680. So they're paying a bit more. 1680. Do I have a column for debtors? Yes, I do. Will I use that column? Yes, I will. Make sense? You guys keeping up?
So we have to record both when we're
Not both. They're separate transactions. So this is the cash payment. This is the cash receipt. Okay, CPJ, CRJ. They're two different transactions. Okay, this is the dishonored check. This is the reissuing of the check. There are two different transactions. Next, the new check for 1680 includes interest that was charged to his arrear account. Okay, so now we've got something else to consider. 1680. Was there interest being charged to his account? Yes. What is interest going to do to the debtor's account? Increase or decrease it? It's going to increase it. So where do you increase a debtor's account? On the debit side. Why? It's an asset that will increase. Why is the debtor's account increasing? Because you've charged them interest. If you're charging interest, is that an income or expense? It's an income because you're going to get something, right? Okay, so therefore I credit the income and debit the debtors. Right, do I have a journal for interest? No. So where am I going to put this? I'm going to put this in the sundry account. Good. No, not sundry. General journal, yes. Sundry is for other accounts, not other transactions. Okay, so this needs to go to number C. Debit the debtors. This was day 17. Debtors is what type of account? An asset. And it's increasing. Credit the interest income. Income increasing. What am I going to record? I'm going to record the difference. How much does this debtor owe? 1,280. So 1680 less 1250 is going to give me the amount that I'm going to record here. Let's see what it is. 1680 minus 1280 gives me 400. Right? That's the amount that I'm going to record in the books of the business. Got that? Okay. The only reason why I'm showing this is because the question told me that we're charging the debtor interest. So now just think about it logically. If you're charging the debtor interest, are you going to have more debtors or less debtors? More. So where do I increase a debtor account? Well, I need to know what it is. Debtors is an asset. Assets increase on the debit. Why did I charge them interest? Because the account was overdue probably. guys have that? Great. Next, day 19. Cash banked for services rendered. Which journal? CRJ. Easy marks here. Okay, every single exam paper will always have easy marks. Guaranteed. Yes, there will be questions that are a bit more tricky, and there will be questions that are very difficult. Okay, it's because the examiner needs to give scope. Okay, so scope to pass, and then scope to get a distinction as well. Okay, so that's an easy one.
So it's not sales journal. It's not.
No, there's no sale journal here because there's no selling. What type of business are we running? Cleaning services. Unless you're also selling cleaning material and other stuff, then you would have sales. Okay, this is a service business. So a service business would be selling a service, and that would be recorded in the cash receipts if they're receiving it cash. Services rendered. Will I have that here? Yes, I will. VAT will be on the total amount of 8230. 8230. Services rendered will be the VAT exclusive. So that amount times 100 divided by 114. VAT will be the difference. This minus that. Got that? Is that okay? Good. This is for services rendered. I have a column for VAT, I have a column for services rendered, I have a column for bank. We record it there. Next. 21. Purchase packing material on credit. Thoughts? Receipts or payments? Which journal? On credit means creditors. So where is this going to go? General journal if you don't have a purchasers journal. Okay, I don't know if they want me to record this or not in the general journal. I'm going to record it anyway because they gave it to you. Right, obviously this wouldn't go in the cash journals. Right, because this was a purchase on credit. If it's a purchase on credit, it's a creditor. Do you agree? You're owing them. Does it make sense? Right, so if I'm owing them, O'Reilly Cleaning Solutions is going to be seen as a creditor. I don't have a purchaser's journal. Right, you guys have one in your templates. You don't write it in. I just want to show you what it would have looked like. Okay, so this was the template that I printed for you. So if we look at purchaser's journal there, okay, you would have recorded like this. Okay, don't write this anywhere because it's not part of the question. I'm just showing you what it would look like. You would have day 21. You would have had O'Reilly cleaning solution. And then you would have had 650 in the creditors. 6.5 actually. And you would have shown what type of VAT here. Lost the spot. There's it. We would have shown 6.5 as the actual purchase. Then we would have shown output VAT. And then we would have shown this was for packing material. This times 100 divided by 114. This minus that. Okay, this is what you would show if they asked you for the journal. Did they ask you for the journal? No, they didn't. Okay, but they gave you the general journal. So I can't record this here, I can't record that there. So where am I going to record it? Here in the general journal. Right, so all I'm going to do is I'm going to show a debit for the packing material expense increase. I'm going to show a credit, a debit actually for the VAT, input VAT. Ooh, did I write output here? Yeah, that's wrong. If you're buying, it's input, not output. Sorry. Earlier I had output. That should have been input. Okay, but it's VAT. Right, purchases, if you're buying something, there's input VAT. And then I'm going to have credit the creditors, bracket liability increase. Input VAT is an asset increasing. Make sense? So the packing material is going to have an amount of, well, let's put the full amount, 6.5. Packing material is the 6.5 times 100 divided by 114. Input VAT is going to be the difference, this minus that. And just to keep it simple, we're going to round it off to the nearest rand. And that's what you would record. What day was this? Day 21. Right, so I don't know if they want you to record this or not. It should have gone to the PJ, okay, purchase journal. It doesn't go to any of the cash journals. You have a general journal, so that's probably the next best thing if you don't have a purchase journal, rather than just leaving it out. Okay, you might have just have been required to leave it out, possibly. I don't know. I'm going to put it in just because I don't have a purchase journal to record it. Okay, rather than not putting in anything, and then they give marks for it, and then you don't get nothing. Okay. Right. Makes sense? Next. Issued a check for 11.4 to pay salaries and wages. Which journal? CPJ. Will there be VAT in this transaction? No. You don't get VAT on salaries and wages. Okay, salaries and wages isn't considered a product or a service. Okay, VAT, obviously we're not going to go into too much detail with regard to VAT and what the different suppliers are. Okay, that's more of a tax subject. We're just discussing it basic in terms of, is there VAT on this? No, there isn't. There'll never be VAT on salaries and wages. When issuing a check, it's going to go to the CPJ. So in the CPJ, what day was this? Day 23. Cash. How much did I pay? 11,400. No column for salaries and wages. So 11,400 here. Salaries and wages. Got that? And there's another transaction that you've recorded. See, this is how you record transactions in journals. It's so simple. You just need to understand what's happening in the transaction, because the first step is the most important. That's why we spend such a lot of time going through the rules. Because if you don't know what the rules are, you don't know what to do with those accounts. Okay. Next, paid city electric meters in settlement of the water and electricity account by means of an EFT. Which journal? Cash payments. 27. City electric meters. How much do we pay them? 5,870. 5,870. Will there be VAT on water and electricity? Yes, there will be. So then we need to show it separately. So input VAT would have been the difference. We first need to work out the VAT exclusive. Right, so take that amount times by 100 divided by 114. That's going to give me that amount. That's for the water and electricity. Round off to the nearest cent, rand, okay, just to avoid the cents, and then work out the difference. This minus that gives me the amount of input VAT that I'm going to recognize for this business. Make sense? Still okay? Next. 28. Issued a cash check to pay traffic fines for delivery vehicles. Right, will you have VAT on a traffic fine? No, you won't. Okay, the fine is the fine, there's no VAT. Issued a check, cash receipts or payment. payment. This was for a delivery vehicle, but this was the traffic fine actually, so 1,800. No VAT. You can write as cash check, and this was for 28. Okay. Make sense? Last one. Total interest received as per the bank statement amounted to 1320. Good or bad? Good. We're receiving interest. Which journal? No, this was received and shown where? On the bank statement. So if it's on the bank statement, would you have received money or paid money? You would have received money. This was interest that was credited to your account. Okay, so because this is in the bank statement, bank is going up or down if you're receiving it. It's going up. So bank goes up in which journal? Cash receipts journal. Day 29. What bank? They don't tell you. The bank. How much did I receive? 1320. Do I have a column for interest? No, I don't. Interest income. Makes sense. Got that. Not too bad, right? Now that I've got all of those transactions, what's the last bit? We've completed the question. Total up. You might or might not get marked for doing this. It's always a good idea to total, just in case. Sum up everything. And the same thing here at the bottom. Sum up everything. Okay. And that's another question done. Okay. All right. So October, November 2016. You guys will be writing October, November 2017. Okay. There may or may not be journals in that paper that's coming up. But last year, this time, when they wrote the exam, they were obviously given a nice journal question. It's a nice question to do. It doesn't take too much effort or too much studying to get the right answer. The only thing you need to do is practice identifying what's happening in the transaction. Do I have a receipt? Do I have a payment? Do I have something other? Do I have a sale? Do I have a purchase? What are we actually looking at? Is it cash or is it credit? Okay. And that covers the journal bit. Okay, so at least now I've covered an exercise with you guys just to show you how to approach those questions. What I would suggest you guys do as practice is look at the actual chapter. Toward the end of the chapter, you'll see they've given you revision exercises. I want to put those up quick. There, exercise 1, exercise 2. I think this was exercise 2 already. Might have skipped one. Okay, yeah, but there's exercise 2. Okay, so there are revision exercises in the textbook, and then there's the journals. Okay, so this is a nice one. Right, looking at sunshine glass traders. Okay, exercise 2 in your textbook, page 100. Okay, obviously they've given you a trial balance. Okay, then they've given you transactions. Remember, transactions are recorded in journals. Right, so similar transactions will go to the same journal. Okay, then I would go down the list and I would identify what are receipts, what are payments. All the receipts go to the cash receipts journal. There's the cash receipts. All the payments go to the cash payments journal. Right, and you've got the solution as well. Okay, so you just need to practice getting from question to answer. Okay, that's the biggest challenge. And that's why I want to do past papers with you, because then you can see how to get from question to answer. Okay, because looking at this, that's great. Okay, you don't study accounting by looking at solutions and thinking, well, okay, that wasn't so bad, now I can do it. The thing is, you actually have to do it. Right, you have to do the question and you have to check, did I do it right? Okay, then that's why you've been given a solution. Okay, it's to confirm that, okay, I know how to post. Right, because we've just done one. Here's the question. Same transactions, just a little bit different in terms of wording and amount and all of that. But the journals look like this. Okay, you're literally just taking those transactions and you're posting them to where they need to go. Okay, that's why I'm asking you guys to keep practicing, because the only way you can get better at doing the subject is by practicing. It's practical. Okay, I said this in the first week. Accounting isn't a cram subject. Okay, a lot of your law subjects are cram subjects. You can literally, the week before, open your books for the first time, study that stuff crazy, all right, have a massive memory, and you can pass. Okay, that doesn't work here. Right, cramming doesn't work at all because you need to practice. It's like driving. It's more a skill than anything else. Okay, it's like driving. Studying where the pedals are, studying where the indicators are, isn't going to make you a better driver. Okay, you need to get into the car and drive if you want to become a better driver. Okay, so the same thing applies here. And that's why I'm encouraging you guys to try, if you can, practice. Okay, do those questions. You've got answers, you've got questions. If you get stuck, then bring it to class. Okay, bring things that you're struggling with. Maybe you've looked at that activity ahead of time and you didn't quite understand one of the transactions. Okay, maybe you didn't know, I'm just assuming, let's say you didn't know this. Okay, you didn't know that cash sales was going to go to the CRJ. Okay, then bring it to class, ask me, and then I'll tell you where it should go. Okay, so on the 25th, we should have a cash sale, and we should have, was this a VAT vendor? Probably. Yes, they are. There's input VAT and output VAT. See, I can see it in the trial balance. I know they're a VAT vendor. So then what would I have done? I would have debited, and credit. Actually, two credits. Okay, because this is cash sales. So I would have output VAT, I would have sales, and I would have, this was cash sales bank. Okay, so it goes to the CRJ. I'm then going to show an amount. So my exclusive amount would have been sales, which would have been this figure, times 100 over 114. Okay, someone on your calculator quickly work that out? Can someone type in 6156 times 100 divided by 114? What do you get? $5,400. Right, so now, do you guys all agree this should be in the CRJ? So if I go to my answer, there we go. There's the cash representing the sale, there's the exclusive, there's the VAT, there's the inclusive. Okay, and that's what we did, but for the exam question. Okay, so I'm just mentioning it again. Practice, 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 practice. It makes your life so much easier. Okay, because you're practicing week by week. So every week I'm giving you something to do. Okay, so week 1 was get to know your definitions, make sure you study your rules. Week 2 was, can you interpret transactions correctly? Right, this week we're looking at practical stuff. So applying what we've learned so far. Okay, how do I draw up a journal? How do I post it through to the journal? Okay, how do I take the transaction to the journal? Okay, it's more a process. Once you know how to show that, then it's easy to get that. Okay, any other questions?
The
General journal. What about it?
is a way of doing it right.
The general journal is actually your rules. Okay, so when I asked you guys earlier to apply the rule, debit what, credit what, okay, it takes you through the process. So you need to look at what account am I affecting? Is the account going up or is the account going down? Okay, so let's look at this one again, 21. When I read question 21, it says, purchase packing material on credit. There's the key word, on credit. That already tells me that I'm going to have creditors because I'm buying something from them. Okay, if I'm buying something from them, is my liability going to go up or down? It's going to go up. Okay, because you know a creditor is a liability. So look at your rules. Okay, there's a rule in your notes. You need to go back and just look at that. Okay, there's a rule that looks like this: liability plus on the credit side. Okay, so that's how I get the credits. Okay, so now I know it's credit the creditors. And then what am I buying? Packing material. Okay, packing material is an expense. I'm paying for it or buying it, so I'm going to increase it. There's the increase. So packing material, that's why I'm showing the bracket, expense increase. See, that's the reasoning behind getting the debit packing material. Okay. Right, so it'll make more sense. Obviously, this is your first class. You need to go back and watch those other videos that will help with catching up. Okay, we've covered quite a bit, and the basics are very important. Okay, so got your email. Okay, you'll get access to it later today, and then when you have time, watch those 2 weeks. Okay, we've just had 2 weeks before this one. Okay, so there's not a lot. It's 4 hours that you need to catch up on. Okay. Any other questions? Great. Let's save that. Now we've covered another question from that past paper. That is question 1.